on in.
What's up, YouTube? This your boy Maze, and this is my channel, Maze Creation.
Amazing!
We're gonna get right into it. So let's go.
Depression, anxiety, that is an illness. Well, you're right. The problem is sometimes even you don't know it. Like, I didn't know. My family had to you kind of volatile. You're not right. Something's not. Look at you on TV. Look at you when you walk in the street. You ready for anything. What's wrong with you? They had to tell me because to me, I was numb. Nothing mattered. Nothing mattered other than my daughter. Nothing. I didn't give a damn whether I lived or died. It didn't matter to me because the greatest human being I have ever known in my life was gone. And so for me, it was like I had to deal with that.
A lot of young men, particularly young black men, hit me up being like, yo, I can't wait to be a dad. I can't wait to be a father. And I love that because I think the men that were a generation before us got raised by the men that were a generation before them. And those men didn't really know warm love because a man didn't express those things that way back then. And I feel like I owe those young men to tell them, like, bro, this is hard because it exposes things about you that you don't know about yourself. It exposes all of your insecurities. And it's a huge emotional undertaking if you do it the right way. So while you see me and Noemi hugged up and loved up on each other, and we got this cute vlog and we make these cute videos and cute pictures, it's because we put in an immense amount of work to make this thing happen, man. We do it every day. We be having sit-down vlogs and we be on the cusp of beefing with each other. But we find that one thing in common that just always brings us back to remembering why we're together. So, bro, when you see this and me playing with my baby and it looks really cool and you want to have those moments, just know that that's the upside. It comes with a downside and it can be incredibly painful if you allow it to be. So before you take on a family, bro, go see somebody about your past and go see somebody about the trauma that you've endured throughout the course of your life and start healing. Because if you don't heal from that, you'll have all this and you'll never be happy. And I don't want that for nobody, especially anybody who thinks that you can just pour water over a lady and a baby and have a happy family overnight. This ain't oatmeal, man.
Myself being African American male, I know how difficult it is to really deal with any type of trauma, mental health issues, PTSD, or whatever may have you, bipolar disorder, whatever it is you're going through in the black community. And also as a man, because let's be honest, men really don't have much of an avenue to talk about their issues. I see it in the world where there's not a lot of places a man can go to talk about, his trauma outside of therapy. Nobody wants to pay, $100 an hour to go to a therapist. But I see all type of trauma centers for women and domestic violence centers for women. But there's a whole lot of men out here who just kind of just wander in the wilderness, when it comes to dealing with their mental and emotional issues. That's why you got a lot of guys out here just drinking and drugging and doing destructive things because they don't have an outlet or have no way to really get out the toxic masculinity, whatever they like to call it, that plagues our society. Just talking about me personally, I've dealt with it, growing up, and my childhood by no means was really that terrible, but I just felt like I never really had anybody I could talk to growing up, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure this is a very common issue that we deal with as a society. women too. I mean, I'm not going to say that women don't always have, or women do always have someone that they can come to and talk to, but there is definitely a divide because there is a lot. It's a lot more likely for a woman to break down and for people to feel sympathetic and for her to have a listening ear than a man. People see men crying, they usually get either uncomfortable or they get off-puttish and like, why are you crying? And it's really difficult because people don't realize that grown adult men, we have feelings too. It's not just women. And a lot of us end up, getting in trouble for it because we don't know how else to express ourselves. That's why you see a whole lot more men in male prisons than you do women prisons. A whole lot more men in shelters than women's shelters. You see a whole lot more violence done to men than women. Because regardless of what the media and society like to believe, men actually are more likely to be victims of violence than women are. Men are actually more likely to be homeless than women are. Men have a higher suicide rate than women. There are more men out here killing themselves than women. There are a whole lot more single men than there are women. That's also something that's not being talked about, But I think that's a big reason why a lot of men have mental issues that they don't want to deal with. A lot of us growing up in a single parent household, being raised by women, and having this false sense of what a woman really is in a distorted Disney reality of what women really are out here like. We get older and we realize that a lot of that isn't true, that women aren't angels brought up from heaven above. They're just people. And a lot of men end up being single and socially awkward because they can't figure out why they can't get women, and they end up being introverted. And I'm saying all this to say this is why a lot of men have mental health issues, because they're living in a society and they're dealing with problems that they're not equipped to prepare for, and they don't understand why. No one's explaining it to them because they don't have male role models, and they also don't have any type of media telling them the truth about what's going on in their life. I have personally seen this from others and have also dealt with it and experienced it myself. So this is why I want to speak on this today, because mental health is not, it's a very taboo and cliche thing to talk about. People get really awkward, or they either feel like it's not a big issue, but it's a very big issue in our society that needs to be dealt with and needs to be talked about more. So yeah, that's my minor take on it for right now. I'm gonna just go ahead and we're gonna end the video. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to put your thumb on the like button, put your pinky on the subscribe, bop it, pull it, twist it, do whatever you gotta do to support the content. And remember, I'm amazing, you're amazing, and we do amazing things when we together. Peace.
I had to channel that in, and I had to remember there are people that love me, that I love, that I'm hurting them just by being around them because they see an emptiness. I was gone. And so when you know that you're dealing with something, when you don't know that you're dealing with something like that, it harkens me back, Max, to Muhammad Ali. Why do I bring up Muhammad Ali? Because when we talk about these great athletes, unfortunately, fair or not, in the eyes of fans, it's not just what you can do physically, it's what you can overcome and endure mentally, emotionally, etc. So when they look at you and they hear that you're going through something, in today's generation, there's a level of compassion that we have because we're more educated, more informed, more edified. But back before then, when we weren't as educated about that, there was a significant level of insensitivity that we all harbored, and we said, hell, everybody got to go through something, figure out a way. And you still have people that deal with that today. The difference is when you walk outside the athletic world and you're sitting on television, for example, or you're doing whatever you do, and you go through such a devastating loss. I will never get over, ever, the loss of Janet Smith. Every single day, I am miserable at some point. But because of the loved ones and the support, I can move ahead. And Naomi Osaka and everybody in this world like her that's suffering from mental health issues, they all move forward and survive because there's people that hug them figuratively and literally and say, we here, we get it. And that's the difference between now and what was going on in the past.
Let me just say this quickly. So if you're wondering why I was getting so emotional during that conversation, it's not just because of what you went through, Stephen A. And Max, I know you went through a very challenging time. We've lost, it's not a secret, my husband works here, and we've lost 5 people in my family this year. And I know what kind of pain he's in, and I know it's very similar to what you're doing. And to feel like you can't support the person, and to feel shut out, and wanting to do everything, and seeing them hurting. So that's why I'm here. So I apologize to my family. I'm sorry that that came out on national television, but it's real.
Dealing with a lot.
It's life, and it's
Jalen comes to work every day.
Yeah.
and it's been a really hard couple years, and he really does. And so you're lucky to have amazing people in your inner circle that encouraged you to do that, and I'm glad that you got the help. And
But Jalen's lucky to have you. I watch Jalen all the time because I'm watching him, and I know I don't have to say a word to him. I know what that brother is going through.
It's unreal, and these are acute. These are examples of acute trauma, right? There's an event that causes trauma and emotional pain. Some people are dealing with general depression or anxiety. And Stephen A. touched on it earlier. He wasn't even aware he was going through it at first, even with an event, right? So physical injury, people understand, I hurt right here. But mental anxiety, emotional trauma, sometimes you're really not aware of it the same way. So that's the importance of Naomi shining a light on it. This shows the importance of that because she's aware of it and she's acting on it as though it's something that happened to her on the court, as though it's a physical injury. It's an emotional and mental issue she has to deal with.
Keep on.